Listen to me very carefully. What I'm about to tell you will either transform your life or you'll dismiss it like everyone else who stays average their entire existence. You become what you think, not what you say, not what you post on social media, not what you tell people at parties, what you think. In the quiet moments, in the dark hours, in the spaces between your words. Your thoughts aren't just random noise in your head. They're the blueprint for your reality. They're the code that programs your life. And right now, most of you are running corrupted software. Every single day, you have approximately 60,000 thoughts. 60,000. And here's the terrifying part. 95% of them are the same thoughts you had yesterday. The same fears, the same doubts, the same limitations, the same excuses. You're running on autopilot, thinking the same thoughts that created the life you're living right now. And then you wonder why nothing changes. You wonder why you're stuck. You wonder why you can't break through. The more neurons fire together, the more they wire together. Your brain is literally rewiring itself based on your thought patterns. Every time you think, I can't do this, you're strengthening that neural pathway. Every time you think, I'm not good enough, you're making that belief more automatic. You're not just thinking thoughts. You're carving grooves in your brain. And those grooves become highways that your mind travels every single day. Look at your life right now. Everything you see, your bank account, your relationships, your health, your opportunities, all of it started as a thought. All of it was created by the patterns running in your head. If you're broke, it's because you've been thinking broke thoughts. I can't afford that. Money is hard to make. Rich people are lucky. Those thoughts didn't just affect your mood. They affected your actions, your decisions, your reality. If you're alone, it's because you've been thinking alone thoughts. Nobody understands me. I'm not worthy of love. Everyone leaves eventually. Those thoughts didn't just make you sad. They made you push people away. They made you settle for less. They made you invisible. If you're stuck, it's because you've been thinking stuck thoughts. I'm too old. It's too late. I don't have what it takes. Those thoughts didn't just discourage you. They paralyzed you. They kept you in the same patterns. They built the prison you're living in. Right now, there's a war happening in your mind between the person you are and the person you could become, between your current thoughts and your potential thoughts, between your limitations and your possibilities. Most people lose this war because they don't even know it's happening. They let their minds run wild. They think whatever thought shows up. They believe whatever voice speaks the loudest. But champions? Champions understand that thoughts are not facts. They're suggestions. And you get to choose which suggestions you accept and which ones you reject. Every thought that enters your mind is asking for permission to stay. Most people give automatic approval. They let every negative thought, every limiting belief, every fear-based assumption set up camp in their head. But you're not most people. You're going to become selective about what gets space in your mind. I'm not smart enough. How many times have you thought that? How many opportunities did you not pursue because you convinced yourself you weren't smart enough? I don't have time. How many dreams did you kill with that thought? How many goals did you abandon because you told yourself you didn't have time? What if I fail? How many risks did you not take because you were thinking about failure before you even started? These thoughts aren't protecting you. They're imprisoning you. They're not keeping you safe. They're keeping you small. And the worst part, you've been thinking them for so long, you think they're true. You think they're facts about who you are. But they're not facts. They're habits. Mental habits that you can break. The coordinated activity of brain cells helps us behave intelligently in new situations. Your brain is constantly adapting, constantly rewiring, constantly becoming. Every time you choose a different thought, you're literally changing your brain structure. Every time you replace "I can't" with "I'm learning how," you're creating new neural pathways. Every time you shift from "this is impossible" to "this is challenging but possible," you're rewiring yourself for success. But here's what nobody tells you. This process isn't automatic. It's not enough to think positive thoughts once in a while. You have to be intentional. You have to be aggressive about protecting your mental space. The interplay of fast and slow waves dictates which information remains in conscious thought at any given moment. Your brain is constantly filtering information. It's deciding what deserves your attention and what gets ignored. Right now, your brain is filtering for evidence of your current beliefs. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll notice every setback and ignore every opportunity. If you believe you're not good with money, you'll focus on every expense and miss every chance to earn. But when you change your thoughts, you change your filter. When you start thinking like a successful person, you start noticing opportunities that were always there. When you start thinking like someone who deserves love, you start attracting different people. Winners don't think like losers. They literally have different thought patterns running in their heads. When a loser faces a challenge, they think, "This is too hard. I should quit. I knew this wouldn't work." When a winner faces the same challenge, they think, "This is where I separate myself from the pack. This is where I prove what I'm made of. This is exactly what I need to grow." Same situation, different thoughts, different results. When a loser makes a mistake, they think, "I'm such an idiot. I always mess things up. I should just give up." When a winner makes the same mistake, they think, "That's valuable feedback. Now I know what doesn't work. I'm one step closer to the solution." Same mistake, different thoughts, different futures. You think success is about talent, about luck, about connections? Success is about thinking patterns. It's about the conversation you have with yourself when nobody else is listening. The thoughts that matter most aren't the ones you have when you're motivated. They're the ones you have at 4 a.m. when you can't sleep, when you're alone with your fears, when the mask comes off and you're face to face with who you really are. Those are the thoughts that shape your reality. Those are the thoughts that determine your future. Those are the thoughts you need to get control of. Because if you're thinking, "I'm a failure" at 4 a.m., you're going to wake up and act like a failure. If you're thinking, "Nobody cares about me" in the dark, you're going to show up to the world like someone who doesn't matter. But if you can change those 4 a.m. thoughts, if you can turn "I'm not enough" into "I'm becoming enough." Successful people speak a different language to themselves. They use different words. They ask different questions. They frame problems differently. Instead of, "Why does this always happen to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "I have to do this," they think, "I get to do this." Instead of "This is impossible," they think, "This will require everything I have." These aren't just feel-good phrases. These are literally different programs running in their heads. And those programs create different actions, different habits, and different results. You want to change your life? Change your internal vocabulary. Stop saying "I have to" and start saying "I choose to." Stop saying "I can't afford it" and start saying, "How can I afford it?" Stop saying "I'm not ready" and start saying, "I'll figure it out as I go." Most of the thoughts running in your head aren't even yours. They're hand-me-downs. From your parents, from your teachers, from society. from everyone who told you what was possible and what wasn't. Money doesn't grow on trees. Life isn't fair. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Good things don't last. You've been thinking about other people's limitations, living with other people's fears, accepting other people's definition of what's possible. But here's the truth. They don't want you to know. Every limitation they placed on you was really a limitation they placed on themselves. Every can't they taught you was really about their own can'ts. You don't have to carry their thoughts anymore. You don't have to live by their limitations. You can choose your own thoughts. You can create your own possibilities. One thought doesn't change your life, but one thought, repeated daily for a year, will completely transform who you become. Think about it. If you spend 5 minutes every morning thinking, I am becoming unstoppable, what happens after 365 days? That thought becomes your identity. It becomes your default. It becomes your reality. But if you spend 5 minutes every morning thinking, I'll never amount to anything, what happens after 365 days? That becomes your identity too. Same amount of time, same amount of mental energy. Completely different lives. The thoughts you think today are the foundation for who you become tomorrow. The thoughts you think this week determine the actions you take next week. The thoughts you think this year create the life you live next year. Right now, you have mental chains. Thought patterns that keep you locked in place. Beliefs that limit what you think is possible. Internal programming that sabotages your success. I'm not the type of person who... Stop. Right there. That thought is a chain. Every time you think it, you're making it stronger. People like me don't. Another chain. Getting heavier every time you think about it. I could never. There's another one. Wrapping around your potential, keeping you small. But here's what nobody tells you about mental chains. They're not real. They're made of thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. You don't break mental chains with more thinking. You break them with different thinking. You replace them with thoughts that set you free. You wouldn't eat garbage and expect to have a healthy body. So why are you feeding your mind garbage and expecting to have a successful life? Every piece of content you consume is programming your thoughts. Every person you spend time with influences your thinking. Every conversation you have is shaping your mental patterns. If you're constantly consuming negativity, you're going to think negative thoughts. If you're surrounded by complainers, you're going to think complaining thoughts. If you're reading about problems all day, you're going to think problem-focused thoughts. But if you change your mental diet, if you feed your mind success stories, growth content, possibility thinking, you'll start thinking different thoughts. You'll start seeing different opportunities. You'll start creating different results. Elite performers don't just perform differently, they think differently. They have different standards for what thoughts they allow in their minds. They don't entertain thoughts of doubt when they're preparing for competition. They don't allow thoughts of failure when they're pursuing their goals. They don't permit thoughts of limitation when they're dreaming about their future. They treat their mind like a sacred space. They guard their thoughts like they guard their most valuable possessions, because they understand that their thoughts are their most valuable possessions. You want to be elite? You need to think like the elite. You need to have elite standards for your mental content. You need to be ruthless about what thoughts get space in your head. The most powerful thoughts aren't about what you want to do. They're about who you want to become. I want to be successful is weak. I am becoming successful is stronger. I am successful is transformational. When you change your identity and your thoughts, you change your actions automatically. When you think I am disciplined, you start acting disciplined. When you think I am confident, you start showing up confidently. But when you think I wish I were disciplined, you stay undisciplined. When you think I hope to be confident someday, you stay insecure. Your thoughts about who you are become who you are. So be very careful about how you define yourself in your mind. Right now, there's a version of you living in the future. A version that has everything you want, that has overcome every obstacle you're facing, that has become everything you dream of becoming. That future self is trying to communicate with you through your thoughts. Every time you have an inspiring thought, that's your future self calling. Every time you have a vision of what's possible, that's your future self showing you the way. But you're not listening. You're too busy thinking present moment thoughts, limitation thoughts, fear thoughts, doubt thoughts. Start having conversations with your future self. Ask them what they would do in your situation. Ask them what they would think. Ask them what actions they would take, and then think those thoughts. Take those actions. Become that person. Thoughts create momentum. Positive thoughts create positive momentum. Negative thoughts create negative momentum. Right now, you have momentum in your life. If your life is trending upward, it's because you've been thinking upward thoughts. If your life is trending downward, it's because you've been thinking downward thoughts. But momentum can be changed in an instant, with a single thought, with a decision to think differently. The moment you decide to think like a winner, you start creating winner momentum. The moment you decide to think like someone who deserves success, you start creating success momentum. Every single moment, you're at a choice point. You can think the thought that makes you stronger or the thought that makes you weaker. You can think the thought that moves you forward or the thought that holds you back. Most people make this choice unconsciously. They let their minds run on autopilot. They think whatever thought shows up first. But conscious people make this choice deliberately. They pause. They evaluate. They choose the thought that serves their future, not their fears. Every revolution in history started with someone thinking different thoughts. Someone is imagining a different reality. Someone is refusing to accept the current situation as permanent. Your personal revolution starts the same way, with different thoughts, refusing to accept your current situation as your final destination. By imagining a different version of yourself. But unlike historical revolutions, this one doesn't require armies. It doesn't require weapons. It doesn't require anyone's permission. It just requires you to think different thoughts, to guard your mind, to choose your mental content carefully, to become the programmer of your own reality. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 30 days, I want you to pay attention to every thought you think, every single one. When you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought, stop. Replace it with an empowering thought. When you notice a fear-based thought, switch it to a possibility-based thought. Don't try to stop negative thoughts completely. That's impossible. Just redirect them, transform them. Use them as triggers to think about something better. Day by day, thought by thought. You'll start rewiring your brain. You'll start creating new neural pathways. You'll start becoming the person you were meant to be. You are exactly where your thoughts have taken you. Your thoughts created your current reality. Your thoughts attracted your current circumstances. Your thoughts built your current life. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Because it means you're responsible. It means you can't blame your parents, your circumstances, your bad luck, or your genetics. But here's the flip side. If your thoughts created your current reality, then new thoughts can create a new reality. If your old thinking patterns built your current life, then new thinking patterns can build a new life. You're not stuck with who you are. You're not limited by where you came from. You're not defined by what happened to you. You can think your way into a completely different life. Starting right now. Starting with the next thought you choose to think. I'm going to make you a promise. If you change your thoughts, you will change your life. Not eventually, not someday, not when the stars align. Your life will start changing the moment your thoughts change. New thoughts will lead to new actions. New actions will create new results. New results will build new confidence. New confidence will generate even better thoughts. It's a cycle, an upward spiral, a transformation that builds on itself. But it starts with one thought, one decision, one moment where you choose to think differently. You have a choice to make right now. You can dismiss everything I've told you and go back to thinking the same thoughts that created your current life. You can keep running the same mental programs that have kept you stuck. Or you can decide that today is the day you take control of your thoughts. Today is the day you start thinking like the person you want to become. Today is the day you start programming your mind for success instead of failure. The choice is yours. But remember this, you become what you think, not what you say, not what you hope for, not what you dream about. What do you think? So think carefully, think deliberately, think like your life depends on it, because it does. If you're ready to take control of your thoughts and transform your life, drop a comment and tell me, what's one limiting thought you're going to replace today? What's the new thought pattern you're going to install? Your future self is waiting for your answer.